despite being every student's favorite sidekick, might actually be holding you back from real learning. Hi, I'm Andrew with Brainscape, the adaptive study app that helps you learn twice as fast through the process of active recall, metacognition, and spaced repetition. I remember back in the day, every time I would go through my textbook and highlight the most important concepts that might be on the test, I felt like a productivity genius. I'd end up with this giant neon art project, convinced that the next time I passed my eyeballs through those rainbow pages, the knowledge would just magically stick in my brain so much better the second time that I went through the material. But I now know that I was deluding myself, because highlighters can actually be one of the least productive crutches compared with so many other things you could be doing to actually make your study sessions stick. The main reason highlighting is almost useless is that it is a static and linear activity. In other words, even though you're using a little bit of extra mental processing to determine which information is important enough to highlight, the knowledge still ends up just sitting there on one same page in the same order across all the pages as it's always been in. Number one, you didn't transform the knowledge into some other artifact that causes you to think more deeply about it, like summarizing it or turning it into a question and answer or making a concept map with it. And then number two, you didn't extract that knowledge outside of your textbook or your notes so that the next time you want to study it, you're still going to have to get out the same book or the same notes and flip through it in the same order, meaning that you might just be memorizing the material in its original context and order, but not actually preparing yourself to see it presented in any way like it might be on your test. If you really want to make your reading time more efficient, you need to be taking the concepts in your book or your notes and turning them into something that you can study more efficiently later. For example, for complex subjects with lots of interrelationships, you might want to take a few pages worth of content and then summarize the big picture into a concept map. Ideally, using a concept mapping software like MindMeister or Lucidchart, where you can interact with it later as you're reviewing the material and diving into which nodes or spokes are giving you the most trouble. Or for subjects where you have actually tons of knowledge that you have to commit to memory, you might actually want to make flashcards as you read through your material, turning each concept into a nice binary question and answer that you can study more efficiently later when maybe you don't have your entire backpack with you. In fact, if you're making flashcards using a digital flashcard website like Brainscape, then you'll even be able to have your flashcards in an app on your phone at any time. And you'll know that you'll be able to study them using optimal study techniques that Brainscape offers, like active recall, metacognition, and spaced repetition, and many ways to track your progress. Whatever method that you're using, transforming your materials into studyable assets outside of your textbook or your workbook is not only going to help you better process the knowledge while you're creating those bite-sized assets, but it will also allow you to study much more conveniently throughout the day in those little 2 to 5 minute sessions when you maybe wouldn't have otherwise been able to set up an entire study marathon. At this point, I'm probably feeling a lot of hate from the die-hard highlighter snobs out there, so I can throw you a bone. Highlighters can still serve a purpose if you're still preparing to extract and study that highlighted material later. Like maybe that first time you're reading through your textbook, you just don't have a full setup where you can easily make flashcards on the spot. So I suppose the highlighter can be a pretty and a fun way to set up future you to turn those pink and yellow passages into Brainscape decks later once you have access to a computer or a phone. And if you also want to use Brainscape's AI to take a picture of the pages in your textbook and turn the material into flashcards automatically, those highlighted passages might even give the AI a decent signal of which passages that you want to focus more attention on making flashcards for. The bottom line here is that highlighters aren't the enemy, as long as you're truly turning those highlights into a powerful study tool that will actually help you ace your exams and not just painting your textbook like it's a coloring book. I hope this is helpful and not too discouraging. If you would like other tough love learning advice like this, please be sure to subscribe here, check out the Brainscape Academy for tons more advice, and of course, create a free account on Brainscape itself for an ultimate study weapon for mastering any subject faster. Good luck out there.